For May the 17th, 2019, we talk about Xing, the Land Beyond, Tactical Breach Wizard, and we hypothesize about video game sports. Welcome to level 285. My name is Cole Ross.
My name's David Meismith.
I'm Jala Prendez.
I'm Ben Birkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Back here in the rainy spring. Jala, you guys survived? You're good?
Yeah. Jala House survived all of the crazy storms lately. So it's apparently been in the national news now because, like, my sister called us in a panic yesterday. Are you guys okay? Because, you know, she saw the devastation that has been hitting lots of different places in Texas, including parts of Houston. So it's not like we totally avoided the issues. The water was halfway up my yard. So it did not get past that. So that is good. There were other houses in my neighborhood which are being completely gutted because they got flooded out, just like in Harvey. Ugh. Other areas of the city were hit worse than Harvey. And, you know, climate change, it's real.
Yeah.
So, you know, the biblical flooding of Harvey not that long ago. And then now here we are again with the same kind of situation.
For really no special occasion.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. The thing that concerns me is that we're not even in hurricane season yet. So if this is an indication of how the season's going to go, all you guys gonna have to, like, send me some good vibes and pray to whatever deities you believe in, because I don't know, if it's anything like Harvey, we might be wiped off the map. So hopefully that is not the case, but all the storms have been getting worse, no matter what kind of storm you're talking about or what time of year you're talking about. It's all been a lot worse. So on another note, though, I did finish my cut and I survived. Hooray!
Yay!
And now I'm on to doing ruck stuff and deep cleaning and art for a couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll see how much stuff I've got time for, and then I'll pop into my new mode of training. So
high definition Jala.
Yeah, high definition for now. Then I'm gonna get super buff and, like, Hulk out of everything. And, do that number, and then I'll get slim again, so we'll see. Yup.
Cool. Yeah.
How's life in other non-disastrous areas of the country?
I'm gonna throw to you, Ben. What's going on?
We just have normal amounts of rain.
Yeah.
It was actually really nice last week, and it was like sunny all week, and so I think I got a preview of what Seattle summer is like, so I'm starting to not think it's just like Stockholm syndrome why people really like the summer. I think it's actually pretty good, but we'll see. But we're back to, like, rainy days today and cloudy days, so
You do
not
anything
summer
cool?
yet. I went to friends out in Redmond over the weekend, just hung out with people.
Over by Microsoft.
Yeah. And then I got to play some board games. I played, there's a board game group that plays every other Friday after work. And so I played with them. And that was a lot of fun. It was like a couple of, like, cooperative games, but they were all, like, super friendly. It was like a bunch of coworkers that I'd never met before. So that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
David, how about you?
Yeah, so I actually tried something new this past week. I took a lightsaber class.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, learning how to use a lightsaber is apparently a thing, and seems sufficiently nerdy for my interests.
Are you going to a place and learning, like, the sword fighting style that lightsaber fighting is based off of?
No. See, that would be just too not ridiculous.
Too practical.
to not New York?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the logical thing would be, you learn, say, lightsaber fighting from, say, a Jedi. Instead, in this case, I'm learning lightsaber fighting from a Shaolin monk.
Oh.
Okay.
Because that's apparently my life now. Yeah, so there's the local school in town, taught by a guy who, grew up in China, trained at the Shaolin Temple, and, somehow came over here to teach. And apparently I got talking with some of the students asking, and apparently at some point, someone that was kind of into that, brought a lightsaber into class, and they're like, hey, we could probably do this.
Huh.
And so the actual technique is Shaolin Kung Fu, just with a much flashier weapon.
Right. Quite literally.
Literally, yeah.
Is there a session where you build your own lightsaber in the class?
There is not. So no hunting for kyber crystals or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Although I have been super impressed by there's a number of kind of manufacturers now that produce these, and a lot of them are super high quality.
For like cosplay stuff,
machined aluminum, and just about any different design, either from the movies or just completely made up stuff. So if you want a lightsaber tonfa, or I don't know, a lightsaber with gold accents or whatever, pretty much anything you want you can get. So
yeah,
it's actually kind of cool.
So they allow? Oh,
go ahead, Ben.
Do they allow you to do like dual wielding or like the one double-sided lightsaber or anything like that?
So right now we're just doing the most of the stuff we're doing is single lightsaber, and at least the form we're doing is mostly two-handed.
Okay.
However, Shaolin has double weapons, and I mean historically was predominantly known for its staff work. So I'm definitely in the future they're looking at doing some of the lightsaber staff stuff. Which just, I thought was kind of cool. Apparently, the way most of these companies that produce them do is you just buy two lightsabers and, like, a thing to connect them, which, I don't know, strikes me as badass.
I'm going to ask this question, and keep in mind, I know that lightsabers aren't real.
So we're starting off wrong.
What is the blade made of?
Sure. So it's ABS plastic.
Okay.
And apparently there's a couple of different thicknesses based on are you just doing kind of performance, just kind of demonstration, or are you going to use it for sparring, stuff like that. And then when I see at least the company I'm looking at ordering from, you can either get ones that are more or less clear, which then produce a very bright light, or you can get ones that I don't know, have some sort of kind of misted effect on the inside, which kind of makes it less bright, but gives more the sort of glowing kind of look people associate with the lightsaber.
My earlier question was, like, did this cause the attendance of the classes to jump at all? Or is this just like to appease the local nerds that happen to be in the class already?
So I think from what I can tell, it's actually an additional class to the more conventional ones they normally have.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so they have classes like all throughout the week in actual Shaolin Kung Fu, and then this is just like Friday nights and Saturday nights, more of a for fun thing.
Gotcha.
And seems like it seemed like about half. Well, there are a total of 4 students, including myself, so fairly small. And I think half of us, including myself, just went to that, whereas the other half, attended the school more normally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I have another.
Yeah,
I have another question. Did anyone in the class at any point in time say, "I am one with the Force is with me"?
Not yet.
Right.
Although I feel like that would definitely be appropriate.
Seems like it would get you kicked out. If you're not going to take this seriously, then
I
If
know.
you're not,
Jediism has gotten some recognition, right?
I think it might be on a census somewhere.
I think in Britain it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a religion. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Well, was it fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have anything as exciting as lightsaber fighting. Just help setting up my garage some more, getting my tools set up, and taking care
Being
of the house.
domestic and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Being responsible.
Yeah, no, just a ton. I've just been real busy with boring shit that does not bear comment. So
You have a drill press.
I do not have a drill press. No,
That is something I really want, which I'm fairly certain my landlord would not appreciate.
no. You can just tell him you have you watch a very particular loud show that is all about drill presses. And potentially there's one special episode where somebody gets hurt by a drill press and don't call the cops or come in. That way.
My story about that actually.
About getting hurt by a drill press?
Yes.
You don't have one of those stories?
So when I was in San Francisco, between jobs, I worked at a makerspace.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, someone was minorly hurt. Luckily, not seriously. Basically, they weren't actually hurt by the machine, but I don't know, something around the neck or something got caught in the machine, which then pulled them in and basically caused them to headbutt the machine.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, luckily not a serious injury, just kind of a cut across the forehead. But
Still
when
scary.
we opened up the first aid kit, we found it mostly empty.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we later asked the management why that was, they responded that they removed most of this stuff because the staff wasn't trained to use it.
Oh, cool. So rather than letting people make an educated guess about what to do with a fucking Band-Aid.
Yeah, it was it was one of those things was one of those things where sometimes smart people do really dumb stuff, because usually the people that led it were really great. This wasn't the corporate overlords doing a thing. It was very much just you really didn't think that one through, did you?
Yeah. I mean, if they had bottles of chloroform in there, I could probably see keeping those under lock and key. But yeah. Although that might be fun just to take a huff of that, just see what it does. I don't know. Maybe a lot about my life would be explained by how enthusiastic I would be about huffing something. I don't actually huff. Oh well. Yeah, so that's my story. Nothing exciting, just getting tool benches and toolboxes set up. Yeah. So how do you all feel about doing the show?
I feel like we should go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get the sounds right this time. Some people got a limited edition where I put the the brief sound effect in front of the grind. But we're gonna do the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And let's get started with the grind. The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Ben, last week you hinted at or teased that you started up something new. So I'm going to start with you. Did you go for it?
Yeah, I got kind of like a curveball here. So the game that I started playing was A Hat in Time.
Okay.
Which is Yeah, it's a game that's like highly recommended on Steam. I think it's a kid's game though. I only played it for like 10 minutes. So it's the premise is like it's almost like an open world game. I should not even give like a in-depth review about this because I only played it for like 10 minutes and I switched to a different game.
Okay.
But you play as like a kid character. You lose like at the beginning of the game. You're like on a ship going home. Somebody like opens your window, and a bunch of like time particles gets lost over this world that you fall down onto from space. And the idea is like you have to walk around and collect them. It feels very akin to like a Mario 64 type game, kind of.
It's a real throwback to 3 platformer collectathon kind of things.
Yeah, like you're kind of put in a world. There's a bunch of enemies kind of like wandering around doing their things, you know, and you can interact with them if you get near them. You can just walk around and explore, that type of stuff. I'll maybe pursue that later, but I just hard bounced off of it when I started it.
Yeah.
The other game I started playing that I really like is a game called Xing. It's spelled Xing, and then it has a subtitle of The Land Beyond. It's like a puzzle game, kind of, in a similar vein as like Myst a little bit. Yeah, so the premise is you start off, I think, in like this white cloudy area. You get dropped down on an island, and you basically complete puzzles. And most of the puzzles at the beginning of the game involve there's a mechanic where you can switch between day and night, and there's another mechanic where you can move platforms around. And so a lot of like the getting your bearings is just is doing those types of puzzles where you're moving platforms and there's different abilities that are unlocked based on whether or not you're in day or night. So like maybe the first hour of it or so is like kind of tutorial things like that. But then they start doing more like set piece type puzzle problems. Again, it feels kind of similar to like Myst. Since this is the first hour of the game, I don't mind kind of spoiling this one mechanic. I don't think it gives too much away or anything. There's this interesting like clock puzzle where there's like this world and there's hands of clock in the middle and there's different platforms that you can reach to, but you need to set the clock to different times in order to be able to walk from platform to platform. But you can only set times based on whether or not it's day or night at certain periods.
Okay.
So it feels very similar to kind of like an abduction type puzzle or a Myst type puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at some point, does one of the characters say like something like "Watch your 6" or something?
No, kind of similar to like a Myst type game. Like the character doesn't really talk at all. There is found text that you can find in the island. That kind of like it's somebody who like was on the island before or whatever and is like reading it. But it's not like Mr. Abduction where it's like a video of a person. And it's also like poems that you find as well. Like there's like I think it's like 4-line poems are most of what you find. But they kind of reveal some context about like what's going on the island, I guess. But no, it seems like a pretty good puzzle game. The thing I like about it is the engine's not great. It's like it seems like they built the game on top of a pre-existing engine, so some of the physics is a little bit clunky, like when jumping from like platform to platform. They
platforming.
They made this kind of weird choice where some of the times when you walk across like water, instead of it being like a solid platform, it's like little circles that you have to jump between. And it's like it gets a little bit frustrating there because it's like there's no good reason for adding that outside of aesthetics, and it makes it mechanically a lot harder because sometimes you just fall off and it just restarts. Thankfully like the checkpointing's fine. Like there's no like issues or anything. It's a very minor setback if that happens. But it's a little bit clunky around the edges, but like it does feel like a very like full world and a very like fleshed out world. So that's been a lot of fun to go through. I've only played maybe a couple hours of it, so so I'll probably go back and continue playing that. Any questions on that?
It looks like a really pretty game. So looking at their website, it seems like they've designed it primarily for VR. Is there anything where it's like, oh, they expect me to have VR when I'm doing this, or does it translate to a flat screen and regular interface well?
So I didn't even know that fact until you just mentioned it. So there's nothing in the game that stood out to me that was like, oh, feels off, for some certain reason. So I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's perfectly serviceable if you just play it regularly. So outside of that, I've been playing Risk of Rain 2 still with friends. That's been kind of my go-to co-op game for the last couple weeks. I've unlocked a couple characters. I think I have 4 different characters unlocked. And currently, like, there's different objectives that you can try and complete. Like, they have a logbook. Again, this game's like only in early alpha, so it's not a final game or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a logbook in the main menu, and it'll have like different objectives you can try and complete. And if you complete them, then new weapons or new abilities become available to your characters that you can pick up as you're like running through the game. So that's kind of fun to try out for. And so the current one that I'm trying to do is to try and get through 20 levels of the game without dying, which is pretty tough. Normally you get through maybe like 5 to 10, maybe 15 if you're on a really good run.
Yeah, it escalates pretty fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it starts to get to the point where like so the typical like flow is like you try and get all the chests as quickly as possible, then portal out of there, and you try and move as quickly as possible because the difficulty just moves at a constant speed. So you start out on easy, and like maybe 5 minutes into it you get to the hard mode, 10 minutes into it you get to like insane mode or whatever. They have so many superlatives for what the difficulties are that it's like they're not really named coherently. But the top level difficulty is just ha 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 ha, and that just goes on forever. But eventually it gets hard to the point where you can't really stop and loot all the boxes. You just have to run immediately to the next portal and just try and like survive. And there's certain mechanics that just don't work long term. Like there's you can pick up turrets in the early part of the game and they'll like shoot at enemies for you, which is like super nice. But there's a certain point where the AI like a switch flips and they'll just target your turrets and like immediately kill them, and they're just like no good. So if you're trying to go for like long term stuff, you kind of like ignore a lot of the turrets that you see now in the game and just try and spend your money on other things. Yeah. But it's still fun. It's like every time I play the game, there's usually like a new weapon that I'll find that I hadn't seen before. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. The class that I'm playing on as mostly is there's like an engineer class where you drop turrets and then you can drop like a bubble to protect anything inside of it, but you can shoot out of it. So like the main use of it is you drop 2 turrets, put a bubble around it. Your turrets can fire at everything and they can't fire back at the turrets. But and it's like you basically like 50% of the time you can have a bubble out, but then it'll collapse and then you're kind of like exposed for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to manage that flow. But the cool part about it is the turrets have all the same abilities that you do. So it makes weak power-ups very strong and vice versa.
Cool.
Compared to the other classes. Yeah, so there's like one power-up where if you stand still, like a small radius around you, everything will heal in that area. It's kind of useless for any other class, but if you do it with a turret class, your turrets now heal themselves, heal one another if they're close enough to one another, and heal you if you're by it. So it's like a huge like power-up. So it's cool to kind of recontextualize the game with that. So hopefully they keep doing classes like that where it kind of reframes how you look at the game. Yeah. So anyway, but that's like a pretty fun game to play with friends. It's like pretty casual and it's like, I don't know, it's similar to Rocket League. It's like good enough where you can communicate with one another and but still like you don't have to focus that much. You can still like talk about how things are going and stuff. So yeah, it's that good like middle ground.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I did not play a lot of the first game.
I did not either.
Okay. So maybe this is a question that neither of us can answer, but does it still have the... I'd be interested, I guess, to know if it still has the feel or the soul or whatever of Risk of Rain 1.
So I think Risk of Rain 1 was 2D, and this is 3D.
It was, yes.
So I think there's some carryover. Like, for example, Magna Worm is a enemy in the first game. That's an enemy in this one as well. And like the portals, like some of the icons kind of carry over. Like it looks like, I'm just looking at screenshots of the first game right now, but it looks like the portal that you warp out of in the first game, they use that as the icon. There's like a pinger or whatever in this game where it's like you can highlight an icon on the board for your friend. The icon that shows up when you ping the portal or whatever is the 2D icon from the first game. So there's some like, it looks like there's some carryover from that type of stuff. And it looks like the power-up combo is kind of the same. So like that type of flow is the same. But yeah, it does. It's a 3D world instead of a 2D world. I'm not sure how the shrines interact. I think it's like slightly different, but I don't know. A lot of the core mechanics, I guess, are there. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is I think the longest that I've spent on a alpha stage game or a beta stage game or whatever.
Yeah.
So
even more so than Subnautica.
I never played Subnautica in the alpha stage. Right. I played it after it came out. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you played the Subnautica sequel or whatever at all?
Below Zero, it's still in alpha or early access or whatever, so I'm not playing it because I would like to play the game when it's like fully released. Mm-hmm. So yeah. That's what I'm trying to hold back on because I don't want to be spoiled by anything.
Yeah, I think the problem I'm gonna have for it is like the part of Subnautica I really liked was the part where you had all your vehicles and it became about like coordinating kind of your use of those vehicles. So unfortunately, if I were to do it again, I'd probably have to play through like half the game before I reach the point I was really interested in.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I thought you started out with like a vehicle in the new one, but I'm not sure. I've only seen a few like Twitch streams of it, but I know it's like a different vehicle in the second one than compared to the first one. Like they don't have the Cyclops, or I don't think you start out with Cyclops, but a different one.
Okay. My big thing I liked having the sub and it becoming about like you have the sub that then deploys the whatever that then
Seamoth.
you get to where the Seamoth can't go and then you have to get out and die, kind of that kind of flow.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That game's great.
That is a great game.
Yeah. Is that all, Ben?
That's all I got.
Cool. Jala, hit me.
Okay, I haven't played that much. So, last time I was talking about Zero Time Dilemma and how, it's not that bad. Right after I said that, the next time that I played that game, I got so mad. I was like, okay, like I had to stop and tweet my anger out because otherwise I was going to literally throw my 3DS because I was having no patience with what was going on in the story right after I was like, okay, it's not that bad. It made me very, very angry. That portion had passed, like it was a particular segment of the timeline that made me that mad.
Okay.
And like I got past that to some other stuff that I'm back to feeling ambivalent about.
So I want to hear this. I'll probably put in a beep or censor this out or something. Succinctly summarize for me what made you angry.
And I have a long string of angry tweets that I was very upset about.
Yeah, I don't remember this particular thing.
Oh no, but it made me extremely mad. And so anyway,
SAT word problems. I can get behind that.
I was very mad. Like because everybody's like in the middle of a giant crisis and they're sitting there having this logical debate and it's just like, okay, this game does this very often, but like this one was so drag ass. Mm-hmm. And I was just very upset about it. So after I got past that particular chunk, then it's back to like, being fine with the room escape parts. Like, okay, these are standard stuff. I like these. And then being kind of like, okay, like there's little, and the thing is, when I say ambivalent, I don't mean that like literally I have no feeling about it. I mean
feel both
that
ways.
Like there's I feel both ways. There's a little bit of good stuff. There's a little bit of just like, oh, game, But so anyway, after that though, like I haven't gotten back to playing a lot of that. I played a smidge more of The Company also, and that was pretty cool. There were some neat little bits with that, and I'm kind of like at a part where I'm stuck with that. But the last thing I did was solved an AR puzzle, which was kind of cool. I will share a link to that because I uploaded that too. I solved and then like that part that's on the top there on that AR puzzle that I just blinked, I don't know what the hell that's all about. So that is the part I got solved one thing and I don't know what to do from there. So anyway, that's what I've been doing with the company. And then the only other thing that I've been doing other than just a little bit more in both of those games where I don't have anything much to say other than, Zero Time Dilemma made me angry, was I played another level of Zombie Army Trilogy with David and Greg.
Oh, nice.
So and I don't know if that means that, you want to
I figured we could tag team this.
Okay, cool.
I thought that was pretty badass. Like, I enjoyed this much more than the first one. I don't know, was that kind of your feel?
Yeah, and that's just because the level that we just finished was a level where we had a bunch of different survival parts. There were a bunch of snipers coming at us, and then there was a whole thing where you had to fight a boss character for the first time. Like, there were mini bosses where you fought dudes with, chain guns who just like are damage soakers. But this was the first time that we had a boss. We had like an undead general or something that was protected by a bunch of, floating skulls, a cult general or something. I don't remember the name of it, and then there were like hordes that we had to fend off at the same time as doing all the rest of this stuff. And, like we wiped a couple of times, but that's because by the nature of this game, like other listeners and stuff have responded in the Slack level channel saying that no, it really is like a hard game, So it's not just us, it's actually the game is difficult. But it's more fun because it had it wasn't the stock standard, okay, now you're in a place and you have to kill all the zombies and now you move on to the next place and kill all the zombies, like
there are a lot more kind of tactical segments, and I think the one you mentioned really stands out. The sniper setting is both from like a team standpoint, there's it's a much more interesting situation than just having to mow down a horde of zombies. It's also kind of a neat I guess presentation, because basically this whole level you're kind of working your way through this and then through a cathedral. And so in this segment the sniper zombies for some reason can like spring heel jack, just like jump 30 feet straight up and whatnot. And so they're basically jumping from spire to spire of this cathedral to reposition to try to snipe you. And so it's just even just visually is a lot more flashy than kind of the previous stuff we'd seen.
Gotcha.
I'm watching.
So the next segment that we've got to go through is a challenging one that's in the tunnels, and I don't know if it's the one that I left off on the last time I was playing, because Greg played with me, I think, the last time I was trying to go through Zombie Army Trilogy as well. But I don't remember if that's the one that we left off on, because if so, wow, we only got to like level 3. I don't even remember. Like, I thought we got further than that. But anyway, there might be multiple segments in the next one, and it might just be a very long one. I don't know. But that one, you want tactics? All right. The next one is all for you, bro. So like when we get to playing that, you will have a field day with that. We will want another person for that, probably. So that is my assessment of what is upcoming in Zombie Army.
I do enjoy and find kind of funny, playing with obviously Greg's very knowledgeable about the World War II and like being playing, and oh, there's zombies coming over there by the, TC-39 whatever tank or whatever.
Oh, that one? Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, forgive, this is going to sound like a joke question, and I don't mean it to be as such. Is there sniping in this game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
Because you're describing like chain guns and stuff.
Oh, yeah, there's chain guns. Some of them have chain guns. There are enemy snipers. You have sniper rifles. There are parts where you snipe. There are parts where you explode. There are parts when you are meleeing. There are parts when you have, like a shotgun or something like that. It's all part of the thing. The main games are more focused on the sniping and not being seen, but this one is kind of like a hybridization between like sniper and zombie horde game,
Gotcha.
So like the overall thing has more emphasis on headshots. Like the zombies will come back if you don't hit them in the head and kill them that way, and things like that. So it incentivizes more, greater accuracy than you have in your Left 4 Deads and things like that. Like there's definitely a greater focus on that, and it is more challenging. So they also highly reward chains and things like that. And like this time, I didn't have nearly the focus I did the first time. Like I was doing great on the first half of the game, and then like about halfway through, you could tell that I was starting to like get on the lower part of my bell curve, and then like my score started slipping hardcore. But that's just because I was tired. But So what were you gonna say, David?
Kind of the way it works is your primary weapon is all of the primary weapons are some form of scoped rifle. And then you have a secondary that is either a submachine gun or a shotgun. And then you have a pistol. And the thing though that's a little bit different is being set in World War II, automatic, assault rifles weren't really, particularly common yet. So, although you can have a straight up sniper rifle as your primary, you can also have like a scoped, say like M1 or something like that. That where it's fairly rapid fire, magazine fed, those sorts of things. So it's not as much the focus of like in the main games where it's like I don't know, sniping someone and a single bullet from half a mile away or whatever.
Right.
But it is still focused on like scoped in headshot kills, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
At least, unless you're me, in which case I feel like about half my time just kicking things.
I think they got too close.
Yeah.
They were pretty close on this last one. So,
well, and that is, I feel like, kind of a unique mechanic to a certain degree. Is that this is very much a game that's definitely a sniper game, except that a lot of the time the enemies are very close. So, that's something, I'd kind of put it under the category of like, I wouldn't want every game to be that, but it's kind of neat playing a game that's that.
Yeah.
It is a little weird playing the other game I'm co-oping, which I'm probably going to wait till he's on to really go into it, but with Dennis, I'm co-oping Strange Brigade, which is made by the same people, but has some fairly significant differences in some of its mechanics. Most notably, you have a dive roll to get out of hordes of zombies, and then also, if you're scoped in, aiming at an enemy and zombies start coming up behind you, you'll see these sort of like semi-transparent hands start to come up from the edge of the screen so you can kind of be alerted.
Oh.
And I've apparently become reliant on that, so I keep, getting, whacked
Spooked
by a zombie.
No hands, no problem.
Yeah.
Is that all you've been playing, Jala?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Not a lot.
Don't worry. Spoiler, I have not been playing much either. David, what else have you been playing in addition to Sniper Elite Zombie Army Trilogy?
Sure. Other than that, I've been continuing on with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think where I am now since last time. I made it to Athens, which seems like it's kind of one of the bigger hubs.
Seems like it would be.
Yeah. Especially since, I don't know if I said or if this is common knowledge, it's set during the the war between
Polynesian?
Athens and... Thank you. Yes.
Peloponnesian, not Polynesian.
Peloponnesian. Yes, that was the one I was failing to recall.
If the Greeks went to war with the Polynesians, that would be crazy.
I was just thinking something similar, but I was just kind of waiting for you to finish your thought before I interjected. So
it just the Polynesians
No
just
problem.
rode up and said, "What up, motherfuckers?" Continue.
So it's basically Athens versus Sparta. Let's see. Other than that, basically found out that apparently there is a super spooky cult that appears to be what's going to be the main antagonist of the game, and you have to basically hunt them down by collecting clues to where they are in the world. Or if you're me, you apparently just like accidentally walk into their houses or whatever and end up killing one of your targets.
Cool.
well, that's convenient.
That's a freebie.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The other thing I found is particularly in the large cities, I keep there'll be a number of areas where, say, either a warehouse is being guarded, or maybe like a temple is kind of being temporarily converted to a military base or whatever. But so I'll just be like just trying to run through on the way to my objective, and all of a sudden I'll cross over into like a guarded area, and like everyone will get pissed at me and start chasing me, which is kind of funny. I've upped it to the highest difficulty level, which is kind of interesting. It's overall, I think I enjoy it better, although it makes the enemies a little excessively damage spongy.
Okay.
But the combat's a little simplistic, so I feel like that kind of gives it a better feel. It's basically, the game is in a lot of ways kind of a very simplified version of like the Shadow of Mordor type of game.
Right.
Although I do enjoy, they definitely, Greece is a very mountainous region, and so they definitely decided to give most of your powerful abilities some sort of knockback effect, which then encourages you to just like knock people off cliffs and things like that, which is a lot of fun.
No.
It's also fun because sometimes it'll glitch out, and so you'll say like, I don't know, do a finishing attack on a wolf, which will proceed to like fly back, ricochet off a tree, and go like tumbling over a cliff.
That's fun.
That's just continuing the series long tradition. I mean, back in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, the best way to kill anybody was to throw them off of a building.
Yep. And that is, I guess, so it's more that now it's very explicitly like institutionalized. Like they're very explicit about that is what they want you to be doing.
Yes.
So yeah, other than that, one thing that is kind of striking is your character is very overtly not a good person. Like in that, or I guess it's kind of weird that your character, I guess, from a personality and story standpoint, is generally depicted as more or less a good person, depending on how what choices you choose. But you're definitely incentivized to, like, play both sides of the war and do things like, weaken a faction so that the other faction will invade, so that you can then team up with them to kick out the people that you just caused to invade.
Okay.
And then get paid. Or similarly, there are a lot of super sketchy missions where they're basically along the lines of like, hey, I'll pay you to, kill my political rival. All right.
Yeah, why not?
So yeah, like I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of weirdness because the cult is supposedly this evil thing, but your character definitely is straight up murdering a lot of people.
No, there's a difference between immoral and amoral.
True.
Isn't all that wiped out though because you're like going back through a computer or whatever? So it's like you're just playing a game, like in the game.
True. But I guess it's one of those things where it's probably there are more missions. There are at least half of the missions, I would say, you're murdering someone. Like the killing you're doing is not justified. So I feel like it's fairly explicit that at least some of this is probably something the person actually did. Although it is kind of interesting that this time around they explicitly state that you're not a direct descendant of the person that you're experiencing their memories. You basically find their weapon and harvest like DNA from some of their blood that's on it, and then they're very explicit that then you had to fill in the gaps using like historical records that you're not sure how accurate they are. So that's kind of an interesting thing, is this kind of built-in unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
But I think overall the goal, and I think it succeeds, is there definitely is kind of a history and Greek myth of the main characters being very morally questionable characters. So I mean, it definitely fits with the subject matter. It just sometimes comes across a little weird. I guess the important lesson that I've apparently learned is never cross a ancient Greek prostitute, apparently, because I have killed so many people on their behalf.
Had a lot of power.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Was that all?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. I haven't been playing much of anything aside from things for shows. Finished up Hitman, actually, yesterday, the 2016.
Okay.
Yes. That's a really fun game, and you're gonna get to hear about that on an upcoming episode of Watch Out for Fireballs. But I mean, as far as like non-assignment things, just more Killer 7, but I don't feel like I have an awful lot additional to say about it. Aside from the fact that it is longer than I remembered it being.
A reigning endorsement.
It feels like you've been playing it forever.
What's that, David?
Yeah, have you guys done Killer 7 for like Watch Out for Fireballs or anything like that?
Yeah, back in 2014, I think. Something like that. Yeah.
I was gonna say that seems like that would be like right up your alley.
Yeah. It's an interesting game, and I don't know that I'm using interesting in the best possible way. I'm having fun with it, and the aesthetic is wild enough that there's joy to be derived from it, and definitely there is joy to be derived from playing it on stream and having people witness what is going on there. So,
yeah, it strikes me as it a little bit maybe falls into some of the trap of, it seems like there's some things where something was definitely, very creative and, original and good when it came out, but then got driven into the dirt, and that kind of, back makes it look unoriginal. Does that make sense?
I don't think that it's hard to name something else besides other Suda51 games that do this specific thing. So if that has happened, it is not as a result of like oversaturation of the ideas. I think it's oversaturation of Suda51. Possibly, yeah. I think that it still stands out above those, at least what I've played and what I've been exposed to. But it's kind of a matter of like, even when it came out, it felt pretty antiquated. The play was not necessarily what people were there for. And I don't know, at least for me and possibly for a lot of other people, the amount of weight that style carries probably isn't diminishing, but definitely it's harder to compete with the weight that I want to place on the smoothness of the experience, not
Sure.
Smoothness, but like just general interest in things. So like there are things that carry the cadence of being puzzles, but they're not really puzzles because the answer is like right there. An NPC who's standing next to the thing will tell you, oh, you should use the fire ring. And you go up and you see a candle and it says the candle is unlit. And if you look at it while wearing the fire ring, it'll be lit up and then you can move forward. That sounds like I'm being facetious. That's not terribly far off from what happens. And that sucks. Because if you're going to have a puzzle in your game, maybe make it a good one. Or maybe make it a puzzle. Like as it stands, it's just kind of like, oh, like this kind of game has that kind of thing, so we'll just put in something that looks like it, is what it felt like. And there can be all kinds of defenses that like, oh, that's the statement he was trying to make, man. But I would argue, if you ironically act like an idiot, guess what you're still doing? Acting like an idiot.
So tell me, how do you feel about the Stanley Parable?
No, I think the Stanley Parable is amazing because it is at least moving to me at the very least anyway. It succeeds at being a conveyor of ideas as opposed to being a conveyor of flash, which is what Killer 7 and by and large the majority of Suda's work does.
I know, sometimes flash is an idea.
Yeah, it's just
and sometimes the idea is flash.
Sometimes games are flash, not so much anymore. Because of phones. That was dumb. I'm sorry I did that dumb thing.
I appreciate it.
It is okay. Somebody laughed, Cole. It is fine.
Cool. Well, that is all that I've been playing. Any other questions about Killer 7 before we move on? Okay.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
I asked, if you could pick a video game to become an Olympic sport complete with amazing competitors, what would you want to watch? And thanks to Michael P. for the question.
Thanks, Michael. I'll get us started with Devin, who says, Prop Hunt from any of the Prop Hunt games. Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike, Gary's Mod, any of them, really. I had to look this up. I guess Prop Hunt is like a hide and seek kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I am not aware.
That would be an interesting Olympic sport, hide and seek.
I just like real life. Real life hide and seek would be great, I think.
Oh yeah. No, I actually enjoy the fact that if we're just kind of scanning through some of these, a fairly large number of the respondents basically interpreted this as what game would you like to see someone make a real life version of, which totally makes my day.
If they did like live action hide and seek, what they would have to do is make kind of a modular shifting course for it. Because if there was just one Olympic hide and seek course, everybody would know the OP places to hide. But if it was randomized, yeah. This is worth looking at. David, what does Noah say?
Noah says quap, but maybe the keys are so big you have to punch them. Rocket League using holograms to project the game into a full-size arena.
That's awesome.
WarioWare.
I like WarioWare. Quap, but with the Street Fighter 1 pads is amazing. Although you have to hold buttons down so much. So what I want is Quap, but on like a DDR pad or like a twister pad. Yeah.
You have to do the weird thing where you jump your feet in a certain position, then start tapping with your hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like Rocket League, using holograms could be pretty cool. Or just, actually have Rocket League. I feel like that's one you could probably actually convert to a sport.
Would you guys say that that's epic?
We haven't commented.
Topical.
It is. People are very upset. Ben, what does Alex say?
Alex says, does it have to be physically feasible? Heck, even if it's not, I still want to see what IRL Mount Your Friends looks like.
I've been to Fulton Street Fair. It is feasible.
I mean, like human pyramids are a thing.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I haven't seen some of the more intricate Mount Your Friends creations. So, yeah, I don't know. Jala, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says, the big thing in the Olympics is the knockout style of the competitions, so games with valid one-on-one or multiple people competing for the same goal. With this in mind, I think it's a choice between Mario Kart and Forza Motorsport 2. The first, take out blue shells but allow everything else. The second, it's just perfect racing and the upper difficulty level requires crazy skill.
People wouldn't like the second one because, just because part of the reason people watch racing is for the potential of crashes, because we're worse than the Romans watching gladiators. But I
don't know that we're worse. I mean, the Romans at least, got what they wanted every time.
I suppose. We introduce uncertainty and doubt, and I think that is a far more grievous form of torture. But like the idea of simulated racing replacing actual racing, where people can die in twisted fiery wrecks, seems pretty good to me. But then again, I'm a big old wuss, and I'm scared of driving 25 in a school zone. So, yeah.
There was like this real long silence when nobody backed you up. Nobody said a damn thing.
No, Cole's going to remember this.
I was just trying to think what the ghost of Dale Earnhardt would do.
I don't know, probably scream. Seemed like it sucked the way you went. Oh, man. Michael says, Michael, the asker of the question. It's already a pretty big name game, but I'd love to see Blaze Blue on the world stage. It's a wonderfully deep fighting game with a big cast. There would be lots of room for sharpening skills and battling wits against the best and brightest. Blaze Blue is the anime fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One of them.
Okay. Sorry, it didn't buy the license to all anime.
It seems to me like Blaze Blue, from what I've observed, though, is the anime fighter in that it's, if you took the platonic ideal of every anime and made a character from them, that's basically what you'd get.
We've said anime 5 times, so we cannot say it anymore. I'm sorry.
What about Animu?
Nope. Sorry. It's even worse. That counts for 2. We're 2 over. Oh, people will yell. Let's see. David, what does Mike say?
Mike says, Far Cry 2 Cannonball Run. Competitors start at equidistant points on the map and race to be the first to a central point. One factor that can affect them is the respawning checkpoints. Competitors can take the time to clear them out or try blowing through, but risk getting chased down. Far Cry 2's map is so dense and twisty that I think it could actually be pretty compelling viewing. P.S. Fuck the Olympics.
Yeah, fuck the IOC, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worse than FIFA. Although FIFA's also pretty bad. Worse than Romans. Although the Romans were pretty bad. Anyway.
They were the first bastardized boxing.
I need to get around to playing Far Cry 2. Somebody needs to sponsor that WoW. Because God knows I can't play a game on my own fucking volition.
Far Cry 2 is a incredibly flawed, great game.
Yeah. Let's see. Ben, what does Casey say?
Casey says, live action version of a game, Overwatch Capture the Flag mode. Teams of 6 in ridiculous costumes beating the crap of each other while trying to run through a combat arena with a flag. Paintball guns and martial arts combined. Video game on a big screen for competition, Nidhogg. But the IRL competition gets eaten by giant worms when their avatar does too.
Yeah. Nidhogg's
Doom
fun.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, except in Nidhogg, it's the winner that gets eaten by giant worms, right?
Oh, the loser gets eaten first.
Do they?
No, I was just referring to real life. I don't know. I can't speak to it. Man, Nidhogg's a fun game.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. So, like, Overwatch, some of the characters basically have flight, though, and I'm not sure how that works.
Jetpacks.
Which exist. Yeah. Moon boots. Let's see here. Mark Wilson says Quap. We already mentioned Quap before. I don't want to skip over Mark though. Jala, what does Lindsay say?
Lindsay says, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out would be fun to see, although I suck at it. I love watching people do blindfold runs of it and the like.
See, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out feels like it's been mastered, though. Like, there are people who can beat it without getting hit and stuff like that.
Seems like it would be pretty unfair to Mike Tyson.
He's an old man. Oh. Let's see here. Bill Darrow says Griff Ball.
It's a mod for Halo that, unfortunately, we lack the host that could definitely talk about this for the rest of the episode.
Is that related to Red versus Blue? Was there a character in RVB called Griff?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. When it was something along the lines of, I don't know if it was just straight Forge mode or like some later like better version Forge mode they invented or something came out. The Red versus Blue guys created this kind of fake sport called Griffball that then I believe actually became a game mode. However, I know nothing about it other than, if I recall correctly, I think the ball in question might be a warthog that you have to like propel through a goal.
Okay. Huh. No idea. Again, the line is very blurry between what is real and what is fake. Let's see here. Which one of us? That was me. So, David, what does Warren say?
One says, when it comes to esports, the only games I get into are fighting games, particularly Mortal Kombat and Injustice.
Is Injustice like mega violent like Mortal Kombat is, or is it a little bit toned down?
It's not super gory. It's very flashy. So like it has a lot of neat like ways you can say interact with the arena, or ways that your given heroes special abilities are very flashy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it has the over the topness, but not in service of gore, if that makes sense.
You're not like cutting people in half the hard way.
Right.
Yeah.
Which way is the hard way?
Up and down.
Vertical.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says, big sports fan, so I'd like to see the video game sports done more often.
Similar thing. Like, I don't know. Me, again, being a wuss, I could foresee a future where simulated boxing.
No. That is where I draw the line. You get out.
No, I'm not kickback. I just don't want people to get CTE anymore.
Get rid of the gloves.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Which, as a side note, was another horrible thing that the Romans did to a sport.
Was that gloves to increase head trauma?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cestus. They add cestus to boxing.
Yeah, I know those from Dark Souls.
Yep. You can imagine why they may not be sport approved.
I don't know if you can defeat defeat one of them, the ceaseless discharge with it. I don't know. I wouldn't want to fight a dude. Jala, what does Ludwig say?
He says, Mario Party! It being based so much on luck would be both a blessing and a curse. Seeing professionals get frustrated at such a silly game would be fun, but would also make for a difficult game to compete in. Seeing strategies, if there can be any, develop would be cool. I would, of course, want to see Dan Reichert from Giant Bomb compete.
Only if they're mic'd, though. I don't think the Olympic stars are usually mic'd. And then gonna finish this out here. Gwillem says Katamari, just all in caps.
Another game that would be amazing as a IRL.
Oh yeah, big sticky ball. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. We can do ours. Mine's real boring, but just it's just because I like this game quite a bit. Tetris, competitive Tetris, is nerve-wracking to watch, and not doing the jokey IRL answer or whatever. Yeah, Tetris. David, how about you?
So this is unfortunately, as soon as I saw this multiplayer, this is going to be like David has unpopular opinion things. I think that ultimately the point of the Olympics is recognizing that sports athletics are a important part of the human experience in the same way that like art and music and in the case of video games, play is. But in the same way that, art and sports are not interchangeable, I don't think video games and sports are interchangeable. So I would be extremely opposed to including video games in the Olympics. Not because I think there's anything wrong or lesser about video games, but just because I don't think that's the point.
Yeah, I mean,
and they haven't developed, like they are making fitness games and things like that, but they haven't developed a dedicated hybrid sport that includes, video game elements or VR or something plus, physical activity, that requires immense skill.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
Playing video games to play something like a fighting game at a high level requires some amazing Twitch-based reflexes and things like that. And there are certain types of games that, are more physical. Like my answer for this would be like a fighting game because of the Twitch-based mechanics, or something like DDR, because the dancing rhythm games do require precision and, like actual physical activity. So that would be my answers for that. Just because, like, say, for example, a musician that I like, he actually had a song that he performed on stage that had like a giant thing behind him that showed what the inputs were supposed to be for like his quote unquote, Dance Dance Revolution-ish, thing he was doing. Mm-hmm. And it was actually a really fun performance, but either way, like you could make that pretty epic looking, where it's not just like, the screen's way up in the front. But yeah, I agree with you, David. And I think that's just because you and I are like pretty physical people. Like we do activities and stuff that we have, that specific opinion. But like there are games that have a little bit of, more physicality to them. But again, like there isn't a particular game at this point that I can think of, at least, that does cross over into the boundaries of being like physical enough that it would need to be like hyper, athletic person trying to do this thing. I mean, the Olympics are supposed to showcase that specific skill set, and gaming is a different skill set, know?
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, just to get it out, even though I gave kind of a serious answer, I absolutely agree. Like, I don't think that chess should be part of the Olympics. Yeah. Like, there's a venue for that. Like, video games don't need to be a part of the Olympics to be considered valid competition or whatever. Totally. Like, well, when I saw, not to borrow from the Ed Boss, I when I saw the headline, like, oh, video games are not going to be part of the Olympics, I was like, oh, they were trying to do that. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've mentioned that before. I want to say it was sometime last year. I brought that to the table as one of my brief stories where they were considering it for the Olympics. Yeah. And like it was kind of like a coin toss, and we didn't have the resolution to that. Mm-hmm. But like sliding into the impasse, we haven't even finished. Like Ben has to answer the question, right?
So one more thing, just as I don't know, the podcast has no rules, so I am inserting. I would say, though, if I was in charge of the Olympics, the event I would add would be add back in wrestling, because I think it's crap to remove literally the original Olympic event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I would definitely remove would be airgun shooting, taekwondo, and judo. Airgun shooting, because I think if you're going to be shooting, like, actually use a gun.
How about curling? How about we get rid of curling?
People like that. I think they're being ironic, but yeah.
I like watching it.
But does that make it an Olympic sport? Just because you like to watch it? Because like esports, we like to watch esports. Some of us, like Dennis does, and which is weird. Like you'd think with how much I report on esports that I would actually watch them, but I don't watch anything.
So I just
continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and taekwondo and judo, because I don't think martial arts should be in the Olympics. And
why?
Because both of those sports, or both of those martial arts, have actually been devastated by their inclusion in the Olympics, where it's become, basically they've become about winning and gamesmanship rather than actually being about practicing the martial art.
Yeah.
Valid point.
They should add tug of war back. It was in there from 1900 to 1920.
Yeah. Also, single stick was in there at one point. Basically, everyone gets a club and goes at it.
Ben, what's your answer?
Yeah, so mine's like meta answers of, I think it would just be funny to watch people play the SNES Olympics game in the Olympics, along with like Beijing 2008 PlayStation game in the Olympics, because they're just clunky games It'd just be funny to see people take those really seriously.
Just shitty Barbie corpses doing the floor exercises.
Yeah.
Oh man. Thank you everybody for participating in this. If you want to get your answers in, go to facebook.com/the level podcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you, Jala, for putting this up. And thank you, Michael.
Woohoo!
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about something that we find exciting or interesting, any of the above. Jala, since we're segueing off of that multiplayer, what's the story you brought?
So the story that I brought was simply that this is not new news, but the IOC, or the International Olympic Committee, if you do not know what that means, announced that a few months ago esports would not be a part of the 2024 Olympic Games, as it's still premature to discuss including them. Of course, esports
By premature, we mean they couldn't afford the bribe.
Right. Well, esports are now a collegiate level sport, so it could be an eventual thing. I've talked about that many times, about the scholarships and things that kids can get now for playing esports. So the thing about it, too, that throws kind of a wrench into stuff, and I was interested because I didn't see very many answers that, would be excluded by this. The problem that the IOC said was that violent video games go against the spirit of the Olympics and would not be considered, so that rules out a large chunk of what's competitively played out there anyway.
No.
And
like
most
a lot
sports.
Yeah, I know. So...
they never show you what's on the other end of the biathlon. Sorry. Continue, Joel.
That's been basically it. Like
Okay.
a real brief thing.
Yeah. David, how about you? What's your end boss here?
Yeah, so the I think it's been out for a while, but I'm mainly going to talk about it because I think it's really cool. The guy that made Gunpoint has a video out for the new game he's developing, which is called Tactical Breach Wizards, where you play as a member of a magic-using police force. And it's a XCOM style game, although it's got a number of differences. The most notably, everything's deterministic. There's no random rolls or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the save scumming that everyone does, where you save before a shot, and then if your strategy doesn't work out, reload, is built directly into the game. So, you basically have the ability to rewind time as many times as you need.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the end result is it looks like it's almost like if you took XCOM and made it into a puzzle game.
Yeah, it's giving me some Into the Breach vibes.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way of saying it.
Yeah.
There's also, he discusses a number of mechanics that seem really cool. For example, one of the big things is your characters can normally only use their basic abilities, such as, shooting someone with their wand. In order to use any of their spells, they have to build up mana. And each character has a different way to build up mana based on their personality. For example, your tank character basically is kind of a vigilante that left the force out of guilt over something they'd done, and is kind of trying to atone, so they receive mana when they take damage.
Mm-hmm.
Or the witch is a by the books cop that's opposed to excessive force, so they only get mana if they kill an me dealing the exact amount of HP they have. The other thing that is truly or purely a a flavor thing, but I think it's kind of a neat idea, is he talks about in the video he was trying to decide how he was going to make unlocking like cosmetics fit with the feel and the lore of the game, and how it makes sense for leveling up, giving you the ability to unlock new clothes. And what he decided is the in-universe explanation is going to be you actually from the very start own all of the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you have to become enough of a badass to be able to pull that outfit off.
I like that.
So yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. It's got a really entertaining art style that's sort of a what if you took the kind of tactical style and applied it to the normal costuming of like fantasy characters. So I don't know, I'm very excited.
I'm looking at an armored what appears to be a priest. I can tell this because it's carrying a riot shield that is labeled "Caution Armed Priest," and as a weapon, it is wielding a censer like a mace, so like a flail rather. So good on him. This looks great. I had no idea this existed. Tom Francis rules. Yeah,
I'm really excited. Also, because it's Tom Francis, defenestration is still a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he has stated that in world, anyone you knock out a window, you cast Featherfall on in order to not have the police blatantly murdering people.
Right. No, to not have excessive force. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. So tactical breach wizards. I had no idea that existed. And that is the purpose that a thing is happening stories serve.
Yep.
Sorry, I feel like I've got an agenda. I've got a thing happens story. I've been talking about Tetris 99, not playing as much of it as I would like to, but it is still an incredibly good game. So that was released for free for people who subscribe to the Nintendo Online service.
Cool.
And kind of as a surprise, Nintendo released what they're calling the Big Block downloadable content, which lets you play the game offline, either in kind of a marathon mode, like a regular marathon Tetris game, or against 98 bots. This is important because you're not always near Wi-Fi, and sometimes you might want to get your Tetris on. And they're going to be adding in some more modes as things go on. Additionally, they're going to be holding an event here May 17th through 19th, so this weekend, where if you participate in the event and you get more than 100 points, you unlock a theme that makes your playfield look like the Game Boy Tetris. Yeah. So I'm jazzed about this. I'm going to go and get that update because Tetris 99 rules.
It really, really bothers me, though, the image here. Like, the block is already halfway down. Why haven't you rotated it?
Like to live on the edge. They're not even doing a T-spin on that either. It's just shameful is what it is. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I'll briefly talk about the story that I mentioned earlier. So Epic bought Psyonix, the company that makes Rocket League. There haven't been any changes with the game yet. I think they've written that like the game's going to be both on the Epic Store and it's going to stay on like Steam and PC. However, I think a lot of people are kind of doubtful that it'll stay on Steam and think it'll eventually be pulled off. So this will be like interesting to see what happens since it's a game I've played for about 3 or 4 years now. So yeah, I don't know. If it moves to like being like an Epic Store only thing, I probably will stop playing it, which will be a bummer.
Yeah. Why should you have to buy the game again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a real test for that. I mean,
Well, was it a free-to-play game?
No, I bought it on Steam.
So presumably if it did it, you wouldn't have to pay for it again.
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
Or if not, just pirate it.
Well, no, I mean, you would have to sign into it through Epic's DRM in order to play it online and authenticate with the servers, most likely. In the past, with similar situations, when something has been pulled off of Steam, updates have continued and the online component has maintained some kind of continuity, but everybody is in a little bit of let's say well-earned uncertainty and skepticism about how this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
Well, nothing's happened yet, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Hopefully they do the right thing and just, maintain it.
Do nothing. When doing nothing is doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, they can stop selling it there, but you've got millions of people, presumably, who have bought that game and play it. Like, it's still really popular.
Yeah, I mean, theft is wrong.
Pretty much. Cool. Well, how do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. We really appreciate it. Nothing crazy going on right now in terms of admin. Keep your ear to the ground, though. All the usual stuff still applies. Ratings, reviews, Patreon, telling your friends, and coming back next week. Am I forgetting anything?
No.
Okay. No sense prolonging it. I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been David Myersmith. You can watch me somewhere. probably on Jala's streams.
Although I haven't streamed what we've been doing lately because of a request from Greg, so you know. But anyway, yeah, I'm Jala-chan in places, including Twitch and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and everywhere.
In places.
Everywhere. Literally in places. That's why I just say that. Find me there and we can talk.
Yeah.
I am Ben Merkel in place.
And stick around for some titles. Who's got titles?
I
have two.
Jala, you said it first.
No hands, no problem.
Okay, what's the other one?
The other one is Big Sticky Ball.
David.
I have two. I had High Definition Jala. And I had Then the Polynesians Roll Up.
Okay, Ben?
I got nothing.
Okay. I have Worse Than the Romans.
We had a title that was about that game last week.
We did. So the two of those that I like are No Hands, No Problem, and Then the Polynesians Roll Up.
So
I like the Big Sticky Ball just because it makes you very uncomfortable.
For what it's worth, I would vote for either Worse Than the Romans or Then the Polynesians Roll Up.
Okay. Ben?
I'm staying out of it.
Okay. Let's do Big Sticky Ball. I think Jala makes a compelling case.
Well, and then also it's also related to the multiplayer. So
yes, yeah,
the multi-grind.
I would make a stronger case for No Hands, No Problem, but we recently had a title that was it's difficult to upgrade your hands.
Yeah, we had a hand title.
Yeah,
we had a hand title here recently, and then we
don't
had
want to get too handsy.
No, we don't want to get too handsy. Or three handsy. I'm going to go eat now. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye, Jolly. Goodbye, everybody. Take care and have a good week. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.